Yeah, hi Pranam.
Yeah, hi Sam.
Yeah,
How are you?
yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm also good.
Yeah,
Where are you from, Sam?
yeah. So I am actually trying for like firmware based roles. So I saw your
Mm-hmm.
role was also like embedded based role. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently actually like in a like I'm also in Qualcomm. So I'm actually in modem
Okay.
system testing currently. So
Okay.
I started applying for some few roles, like mostly like
Uh-huh.
what happened like when I applied for some jobs in iOS and like I pinged the manager. So mostly they
Mm-hmm.
will say ki, like you don't have any experience in C or C++ or you don't have any embedded development
Mm-hmm.
experience. So that's why we are not selecting you. And the few roles I did give interview for, it was not very satisfactory. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to know like overall like what should I do to upskill myself so that first of all
Mm-hmm.
I could show in my resume that I do have some embedded development experience. Like I started
Mm-hmm.
like watching some playlists by the way, like for embedded, like my
Mm-hmm.
NPTEL playlists and all. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
show that first of all in my CV, and also like in general I want to know like an overview
Mm-hmm.
like what I need to study for like firmware development, like what are the topics I need to prepare, like what are the frequently asked
Mm-hmm.
questions I should expect. So that I want to
Yeah,
know
yeah.
from you. Yeah.
Okay, okay, got it. So basically, currently you are in modem team of Qualcomm, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So like when you started working with Qualcomm, like in last year or last year or
I
what?
joined 2023. 2023.
Okay, okay.
Exactly. I'm in
So
testing team
Qualcomm.
actually. So
Okay.
yeah.
So the thing is, first thing first, Qualcomm was your first company.
No, no, no. Earlier I worked in TCS like for 1.5 years. So that was mostly
Huh.
web development kind of experience. So that was like completely
Okay.
different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So from TCS you joined Qualcomm, and it's been around 2 years for you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ah,
Actually, in
okay, okay.
between, I did like MTech in communication engineering from BITS Pilani. So
Uh-huh.
yeah. So after that,
Okay,
I got
okay.
placed in Qualcomm. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Got it, got it. So it was a campus placement from Bates
Campus
Planning.
placement. Yeah, BITS Pilani.
Okay, got it. So basically you are in modem team, right?
Yes, exactly.
And that is in that too in testing, right?
Yeah, in testing. Yeah.
So may I know, what exactly it does? Because see, modem is nothing but the connectivity, right?
Yeah.
So we have two things. One is SoC and another is modem,
Yeah.
modem IP or modem,
Yeah. Yeah.
modem chip. So basically, it used for the connectivity purpose. So when it comes to modem system development, right,
Hmm.
it also involve firmware engineering because
Yes.
like at the end it has some microcontroller
Yeah.
and that you need to program using some programming language, C or assembly or C++,
Yeah. Yeah.
correct? And also it like when it comes to firmware development, right, you
Hmm.
have to understand the different IP, different hardware component which are there in the modem and how they're interacting via bus protocols or any other communication
Okay.
protocols,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And at the end it will not be a complete kernel. Like it in best case it could have a lightweight RTOS means real time operating system, right?
Yeah.
So you may not able to explore the Linux kernel or any Android or Android kernel,
Okay.
but you might have RTOS, or if not RTOS, any bare metal programming having some sort of scheduler. So
Okay.
that's what the modem, firmware or the model system BSP will have.
Okay.
So BSP means the board support package. So modem should not have any BSP, but it has some software package
Okay.
or the system software package, right?
Yeah.
So this is what the modem is.
Okay.
So as you're saying, like you are working in modem testing team, right?
Yeah.
So like, may I know what exactly you does there so that I can give you, more clarity.
Yeah, actually, like in my work, I don't get to see the like actual code at all. So my testing involves mostly log analysis. So we test the
Mm-hmm.
various functionalities. We are testing in upper layer of like 5G mostly, 5G and 4G both.
Mm-hmm.
So like in the we basically test using QXDM. That's it, and we analyze the logs and then we report issues. And some
Mm-hmm.
part of coding we do like that is like mostly whatever logs we analyze, so that
Mm-hmm.
analysis procedure we basically automate using Python. So that's the bare minimum coding we do. So
Okay, okay.
yeah.
So yeah, so the thing is, basically you have some application, right?
Yeah.
You have some application that is written in Python, Mostly in Python, right? Is there any other language apart from Python, or it's a tool?
That
Is it a tool or
automation
is it?
application you're saying,
Sorry.
the automation code you're saying in Python, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
is it written in Python
that
only, or it's a tool? It's
it
a
is
tool or
actually a
any scripting
Python.
language?
Yeah, it actually like two types of automation we are doing. Like one we are doing like to automate the testing procedure. So like whatever
Mm-hmm.
test steps we are following, so that we are automating using some Python-based framework called MTS
Okay.
Spice. So there we don't need much like Python knowledge, but
Mm-hmm.
another kind of automation also we are doing. So that is the analysis part. So whatever logs suppose we are getting in QXDM.
How you are getting the logs? Like using some tools, software, using some software.
No, no, logs like we basically connect the device to the like base station or something, and then we get the logs, right? So we follow
Okay.
the test steps, let's say turning on the base station or changing the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
transmitting power, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we that's how we get the logs. So so once we get the logs, we can also like for every line of log we get, we can analyze everything like using pandas or
Mm-hmm.
something. So like
Ah, okay,
yeah,
okay.
that we
I
do.
understood your point.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like there will be a device having modem, hardware installed on it,
Yeah, yeah.
and you just connect it to the like base stations, and other connecting device
Yes,
might
yes,
connect,
yes.
start connecting those, base station,
Yeah,
and then you will start receiving the logs in some screen or
yeah,
some sort of log buffer, and
yeah,
you collect the logs using again some Python
yeah.
protocol or
Exactly,
Python
exactly.
library, and after that again you write some Python script to like analyze and
Analyze
take
the
out the
procedures.
extraction features,
Yeah,
and based on that you might report the issue, or else
exactly,
like you
exactly. Yeah,
might like say it's a successful
yeah, yeah,
development of
yeah.
this
Exactly.
software development
Yes,
cycle.
exactly.
Okay, okay, I understood. So now you want to just jump your career, you want to jump your career from this in testing to a pure embedded software development, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So from testing team, I want to move to like embedded development. Maybe it might be modem embedded development. It might be camera or something. But my point of
Mm-hmm.
view is like I want to switch from testing to development because I am seeing like more scope there.
Mm-hmm.
There is in testing like much scope for progress. I'm not seeing currently.
Okay,
So yeah.
okay. So, just trying to understand one more thing. So, you joined in Qualcomm 2023
Yes.
June. So, it is almost 2 years.
Almost
And
two
in
years.
2 years, you have been doing the same thing that you mentioned,
Same thing. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For different modem chip, right?
Yes. Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. So, how many modem SoC you have worked so far till today?
I
Like, how many testing you have done for different modem IP?
Yeah, I can tell you like multiple PLs I work for basically for like
PL
last
means?
like different product lines I worked on. So like
Okay,
last year
okay.
like one like and then Ali 7.0 that was the main modem, and
Mm-hmm.
this year then Ali 9.0. So these are the main primary modems that Qualcomm is working on.
Mm-hmm.
And also like I have worked on like value based chips like which Qualcomm works on. So like value tier modems. So
Mm-hmm.
those things also I worked on like that. I'll say two three value tier modems I worked on till now.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
got it, got it. Now you don't have the access of the modem code base. Like you cannot
No,
access
no,
the
I
code base
cannot access the modem code.
because like you are from Hyderabad location or Bangalore location.
I'm from Hyderabad location.
Okay, in Bangalore location there are a couple of modem teams. I don't know what
Yeah.
exactly they does, but I feel like they might have the access of the
Okay.
code base. But
Actually, it
anyhow,
depends from team to team. Like even in our team, like
yeah,
few people like get the access. Not everyone.
uh-huh.
That only they see for just like if they want to see some enum or something.
Mhm.
In that case only.
Okay,
So
yeah, yeah, got it.
yeah.
Now another thing, like you try to switch the team internally, correct?
Yes. Exactly.
So how many times you tried? Like with how many teams
I tried
approximately?
total like four times till now. So first team I tried with
Hmm.
camera team. So actually the
Hmm.
first three teams I tried like it was like consecutive 3 days. Just the interview happened like it in very short notice, so I couldn't prepare properly.
Okay.
And so
And the
like
fourth one?
the fourth one like recently I gave for Bluetooth firmware. So actually
Hmm.
there I was expecting them to ask coding questions. So I prepared OS and RTOS, and even I studied a bit of RTOS and
Hmm.
like computer architecture and those things I studied,
Hmm.
seeing the job description. But
Hmm.
everything they asked me was from communication, and I didn't expect them to ask communication at all. So I was very much unprepared, even though I am from communication engineering. So it was
Hmm.
like so sudden for me. Like I didn't expect them to ask from communication because it was a
So
firmware
it
based
was a
role.
Bluetooth. Oh,
It was
what
a
was the
Bluetooth
team?
firmware role in Bangalore. Yeah,
Okay, 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 okay.
yeah.
So yeah. So the first thing first, whenever you are trying to internal job change, right?
Yes.
Even the interviewer or the manager, right,
Yeah.
trying to ask some, like, I don't know why the person asked you the communication question. Maybe from you are from communication
Yeah,
background,
that's
it
why
could
he
be one
asked.
of the
But I
reason.
was expecting him to at least ask
Uh-huh.
one coding question. He didn't ask any coding
Uh-huh.
question
So
completely.
like I'm from CS background.
Okay.
Okay. So if they ask me if I want to change the team to Bluetooth farmer, if they ask me communication
Hmm.
question, right?
Hmm.
Straightforward, I will say I don't know the question answer because I'm not from the background.
Okay.
But for developing any Bluetooth farmer, right? Apart from the Bluetooth stack, whatever protocol
Yeah.
stack they have, right?
Yeah.
Whatever the things required to develop any,
Yeah.
driver for any IP, right? I can
Yeah.
come up with a solution. That's the potential I will show. If I tomorrow try to switch in camera,
Hmm. Hmm.
video, audio, or UFS, any team, right?
Yeah.
I may not be knowing their protocol stack. I may
Okay.
not be knowing their architecture, right?
Okay.
But what I will be knowing, I will show my potential to develop any driver,
Driver.
any
Okay.
firmware for any hardware IP.
Okay.
Now
Got it.
I will tell my approach how I will develop.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that should be my
Got it. Got it. Yeah.
point. Like that will be my straightforward answer.
Okay.
Second thing, whether I'm really qualified to design any driver or firmware or not, that you can judge me based on my analytical skills.
Okay.
Now, how you can judge me? There are some set of standard embedded system development concept or idea that you might ask me. I can come up with the solution. This is
Okay.
the one how you can judge my analytical skills. Second thing, you can ask any DSA based problem, which is
Yes.
again proving a problem solving ability.
Okay.
The third is you can ask any puzzle, which will again shows that how critical thinking a person can do.
Yeah.
And the fourth one is that there is like a C++ concept, right? Like
Ah.
not the
Got
straightforward, very smart, like in advanced concept,
got
smart
it. Got it.
pointers. Or in C programming, there's linker script, make
Linkers. Yeah.
file, how the things you can like boot a fundamental STM32 board, what are the required features or
Okay.
microcontroller, what is
Okay.
the basic fundamental requirement, what happens when you turn on the power, what
Okay.
happens when system crashes.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
these things I will show how I can utilize these things to develop any driver, not a Bluetooth, not a camera,
Okay.
not a video,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now whatever you have done in Qualcomm, right, it's a 2 years and you have been working on the modem testing team,
Yeah.
I mean modern testing.
Yeah.
Okay, there was no problem in that, but only the biggest problem I found that you don't have the access to the code base.
Yes. Yes.
Now what you can do, first you can do one thing, you can try out this technique. Okay, see, if it is a modem, right, you
Yeah.
will have, it has to have some microcontroller. If
Yeah.
it has a microcontroller, it has to has a flash memory.
Okay.
If it has a microcontroller and flash memory,
Hmm.
flash memory is storage memory
Yeah.
basically.
Got it. Yeah.
Flash means storage memory.
Yeah.
It has to have some DDR memory. So
Okay.
these three component it must have.
Hmm.
And to communicate with these three component, it has to have some sort of bus. When it has a bus and these things, right, it
Okay.
need to use some communication protocol,
Okay.
I2C, SPI, UART, whatever the mode
Got
of
it. Got it.
communication.
Yeah.
And also like it need to supply the power, some external power source,
Okay.
maybe PMIC or some other source. And the second thing, it needs to supply the clock.
Yeah.
Okay, again there's lots of variation of the clock. It might need some timer or counter, but clock
Hmm.
is mandatory.
Yeah.
So these five is the fundamental things. It has to have a microcontroller, which is nothing
Microcontroller.
but a
Yeah.
CPU. It has a flash
Flash
storage,
memory. Yeah.
UFS or anything. It has a DDR memory, right?
Hmm.
Then fourth is all the component must be connected via some setup,
Communication
bus
protocol.
protocol, communication protocol, and it has to take some input from the outside world and give some output to the outside world, right?
Yeah.
Like who is trying to you know probe me to connect, right? If
Yeah.
you turn on the hotspot, you try to connect it via Wi-Fi from
Yeah.
another device, right?
Yeah.
So you try to provoke it with the base station.
Yeah.
So definitely throw some output radiation and receive some input
Yeah.
packets, right?
Yeah.
This communication, and it has to supply some PMI to power the system, maybe from internal source or external, and it has to supply some clock. So
Yeah.
these are the five components that any IP should have, not a
Hmm.
modem, but any IP. Even the SoC also have to have these features.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the thing is how these components are interacting with each other.
Okay.
Okay, you have to know these things.
Okay.
There's two things. One is bare metal programming. It means
Okay.
this is very straightforward, programming. There is no hard,
Hmm.
rocket science. You just try to make the system alive. So it's there will be a while loop. Okay,
Hmm.
first after powering on the system, it
Hmm.
will do some set of initialization. That's the booting up stage, booting up sequence,
Hmm.
and after that it will be in a while loop and wait for the interrupt. If you get an interrupt, you will service it again, come back to the while
Okay.
loop in a
Okay.
way like WFI mode, we can say, like,
Okay.
wait for interrupt kind of
Okay.
things
Okay.
depending on the implementation, but this is fundamental.
Yeah.
There will be while loop, it will be WFI mode, wait for the interrupt. If it received any external interrupt, again it will service, again
Hmm.
come back to the same
Yeah.
state, right?
Yeah.
This is what the bare metal programming is. That
Hmm.
if you have to understand it and you have to explain it thoroughly, that beat
Okay.
any IP, when we have to design any firmware which will be having the bare metal programming, means without any operating system, this is what the logic should be.
Okay. Okay.
Correct. Now the second thing is that, like, there could be multiple things to do, like multiple tasks to do. One
Hmm.
is keep on sending the signals, right,
Hmm.
to the
Hmm.
outer world. Second is keep on listening to the external, trying, connection request, right?
Yeah.
There could be two, as of now I can understand, there could be two tasks. So there could be requirement of the two threads,
Hmm.
right,
Hmm. Hmm.
which would be running simultaneously.
Okay.
Correct. And if you have a one microcontroller, means one CPU, you have to switch these two thread, right, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically you have to schedule these two threads
Okay.
via some scheduler,
Okay. Okay.
right? It could be timer based scheduler,
Okay.
it could be interrupt based scheduler,
Yeah.
or it could be any sort of mechanism you will be using to switch the two threads will be running, which will be running in the CPU, right?
Okay.
So, like, from the bare metal programming, which is the first fundamental things, or the first fundamental firmware,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to an advanced version when you have multiple threads, which is nothing but multiple tasks,
Yeah.
and you have to switch between the tasks using some sort of scheduler, and you might be designing your own algorithm for scheduling.
Okay. Okay.
Now, there could be another scenario in your modem. There could be two microcontroller.
Okay.
Okay, maybe, like, two different, like, for example, in case of ARM Cortex, right?
Hmm.
Suppose M0 and M3, two microcontrollers there.
Okay.
M0 might be running in the lower frequency, M3 might be running in the higher frequency.
Huh.
Now the more CPU core coming in the picture, right, you may not able to come up with your own scheduler which will, covering all the requirement of a CPU.
Yeah.
Then you will try to port any RTOS,
Okay.
maybe Jafire, maybe free RTOS, maybe
Okay.
anything else, QNX
Okay.
RTOS. But for example, you are porting the free RTOS because it is freely available in the internet. You can see
Internet.
the
Yeah.
source codes and all, right? Now you are porting the free RTOS. So as I told you, right, two threads will be running and you need to schedule
Yeah.
it, right? In free RTOS, those threads are considered as tasks.
Hmm.
So you have to map your, like, whatever the previous software firmware package you have designed, right?
Yeah.
The threads into task, and the scheduler, they have their own scheduler, RTOS based scheduler,
Hmm.
whatever scheduler you want to use. Maybe they have some option for round robin or some set of like 3 4, priority based scheduling, or whatever
Got it. Got
scheduling
it.
you will be using,
Yeah.
right? Now, so you are putting the RTOS into an, into a microcontroller which will be running for the modem.
Hmm.
So now how you started from the fundamental parameter programming.
Yeah.
Then you come up with your own, scheduler based approach where multiple threads are running. Now you have multiple CPUs and you cannot, write your own firmware from the scratch, or own RTOS basically. So you're putting the free RTOS in
Okay.
your program. Now the last stage, what happens, suppose if you are working in the SoC, right, Snapdragon SoC.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now there, like, in modem you will be having microcontroller, mostly you will be having
Hmm.
microcontroller, not the microprocessor.
Yeah.
Okay. So now in SoC, right, Snapdragon SoC, they will be having, in a different IP, they might be having microcontroller, but the main CPU subsystem will be having microprocessor. So
Okay.
like Cortex A series.
Hmm.
So ARM has three series: Cortex A, Cortex M, and Cortex R series.
Okay.
So AIM series basically stand for the microcontroller, which
Hmm.
might be present in your modem.
Hmm.
Okay. Now in Snapdragon SoC, most of the SoCs in Snapdragon, or I think all of them Snapdragon SoC, they will be having Cortex A CPUs, which are the application processor,
Okay.
or the actual CPU processor, not a microcontroller.
Okay.
Right. Now, when in an SoC
Excuse
you
me.
have the microprocessor,
Yeah.
this means Cortex A series,
Hmm.
then you can take
Yeah.
another step, that you can port the Linux kernel or the Android kernel. Basically, Android kernel is the, run stop of the Linux kernel only.
Yeah.
So the core
Yeah.
of the Android kernel is the Linux kernel. So
Yeah.
you might port the Linux kernel in the, Snapdragon SoC basically,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So now, what is the benefit of Linux kernel over the FreeRTOS? FreeRTOS has very limited features compared
Okay.
to Linux kernel. Linux kernel has a lot compared to FreeRTOS. Like in
Okay.
terms of debugging feature, forget about debugging.
Okay.
It has more stronger memory management features,
Okay.
because like when you will be running multiple ways in any system, right? You
Okay.
might be need hypervisor. So basically, you if you study operating system, they
Yeah.
might be explaining like virtual address is converting into physical
Yeah.
address, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But suppose suppose you would design an BSP, board support package, for a automotive vehicle, right?
Okay.
It would be at least having two and operating system. One is Linux, which will be handling the main security system, and the second is Android, which will be handling the
Memory. Yeah.
infotainment,
Okay.
basically the music and all
Got it.
those systems.
Got it. Yeah.
So two ways are there, and it on the underlying there will be hypervisor,
Hmm.
and below that there will be firmware. So basically, their
Okay.
virtual address will first convert into intermediate physical address in the hypervisor level,
Okay.
and hypervisor will convert this intermediate physical address to the actual
So it
physical
is like a
address.
cache you're saying, like or something.
uh Not a cache, like it's a layer basically. If there
Okay.
is no hypervisor, so virtual address directly converting to physical address.
Okay.
But if there is hypervisor, so virtual address will convert into intermediate physical address, intermediate physical address will convert into
Okay.
physical address.
Got it. Got
So like Linux kernel has a very vast feature. This is one of the things,
it.
like
Okay.
it can easily handle the memory management
No.
far better than the free RTOS.
Mm-hmm.
Then it has the file system, like to mount its root. So in free atos there's no concept of root file system or any file system basically. They
Mm.
don't provide that level of features, okay?
Okay. Okay.
But in case of Linux kernel, they have like file system kind of features,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is again an advanced feature, right? So
Yeah.
basically, what I'm trying to say, the Linux kernel is an advanced version of the free atos.
Okay.
Free atos is the advanced version of the basic scheduler based
Yeah.
firmware you have written.
Yeah.
That is again the advanced version of the basic bare metal programmer or basic firmware.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is what the flow is for any IP,
Any idea?
for any IP, right?
Okay.
Now, what you need to learn, you need to learn first C programming, that you already learning.
Yeah.
The second thing, you need to know the DSA, because they might ask the DSA
Yeah.
question, that
Yeah.
also you are doing. Third thing, you need to know the free RTOS.
Reactors. Okay.
Okay. Fourth thing, you need to know the Linux
Linux.
kernel. Okay.
So this is
Now,
drivers you're saying, like driver development specifically you're saying.
no. First, learn the Linux kernel internals. That's a separate things. I will
Okay.
come there.
Okay.
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 Linux kernel internal is different. Linux device driver is different.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Got it.
Linux kernel internals, which if you search, there are lots of topics.
Okay.
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 Linux kernel internals. Now, the third thing after that, what you have to learn, ARM architecture. Okay.
ARM
Why
architecture.
ARM architecture? Because the ARM architecture defines that there will be lots of executable level EL0, which
Hmm.
stand for the user application, the whatever Python you are writing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Python program, that's the user application written in EL0. Then EL1, okay.
Ah.
EL1 comes the Linux kernel, Android kernel, FreeRTOS, and all those things comes in EL1.
Okay.
Then EL2, where hypervisor actually comes into picture,
Mm. Okay.
okay. And EL3. So EL3 has its own firmware. We call it trusted firmware A, like TF hyphen A, trusted firmware ARM, or ATF, ARM trusted firmware, or
Okay.
whatever some people
Okay.
call
Okay.
EL3 Mon also.
Okay.
Again, each exception level also divided in two worlds, secure world, non-secure world,
Okay.
right? So there are some sort of ARM architecture concept, like exception level, privilege level,
Okay.
memory management, jig concept of the ARM, generic interrupt controller. Like
Okay.
each hardware is assigned with some interrupt, so CPU basically recognize the
Hmm.
each hardware interrupt by the interrupt number. So CPU knows it is, if the interrupt number is 53, it is coming from the UFS. If it is like 54, it is coming from the, say for example, other IP, like PMIC, for
Ah.
example.
Okay.
So it's like that. GQ will explain you all these things in details. Now after that, like if you are going for CPU based, like team, right?
Yeah.
You might explore like two important concepts. One is low power mode. What
Okay.
is that? So when you like lock your mobile, right, it is not running much application, so you
Yeah.
can save some sort of power, right?
Yeah.
Sort of power, because if you save the power, ultimately battery life will improve, right?
Mm-hmm.
So low power mode explain when you are keeping your device idle, low power mode or idle power mode, right? how much power you can save.
Yeah.
So basically it has multiple power modes, C1, C2, C3, D1, D2.
Hmm.
So it will explain those things.
Yeah.
Another one, DVFS, dynamic voltage frequency scaling.
DVF.
So what is that? So if you are using opening the Google Chrome and surfing some YouTube videos and all, right, the
Okay.
kind of CPU consumption, the power consumption, basically the battery consumption it will be having, right,
Hmm.
will be less compared to the thing when you're playing some PUBG game.
Yeah.
Correct? It requires very high frequency of the CPU, and when it comes to high frequency, it requires high voltage or high power
Okay. Okay.
consumption.
Yeah.
So how you're managing the DVFS, actually the CPU, like active power management is
Yeah.
the thing.
Got it.
Now again, this two concept is like, if you're targeting the CPU teams, it is not required to know if you're not targeting from
Okay.
the
Okay.
CPU team. Now after learning the ARM architecture, whatever concept I have
Yeah.
mentioned, right,
Yeah.
you jump into the device driver.
Device type.
So first,
Okay.
initially, you start with some character device driver, pseudo character device driver.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's like you are emulating a pseudo device which is not there in the system. You are just creating an illusion to the Linux kernel that even you don't need a hardware right now.
Yeah.
You just need your Linux kernel based machine like Ubuntu or something.
Ubuntu.
You are emulating a hardware device and you're writing a driver for it.
Okay.
Okay, like pseudo device, pseudo character driver.
Okay.
Now, second step, pseudo device and multiple pseudo driver.
Okay.
Means for one device is getting controlled by the multiple driver,
Okay.
or
Got it.
vice versa. You can just explore more things. There you will be coming up with the device tree concept, learn the device tree
Okay.
in a good fashion. You would be coming up with some, sort of like, module like insmod, modproof.
Yeah.
These are the again Linux library, how they are helping to load the
Hmm.
module.
Hmm.
So there will be inbuilt module. There would be like, dynamically loadable module.
Yeah.
Okay, now this concept will come into picture. Now in the Ubuntu machine, you may not be able to explore all this concept because it machine only support the dynamically loadable module, not the
Okay.
built-in module. You
Okay.
may use the built-in module, but it might crash your system. So if you have a virtual machine, you can try it out.
Okay.
So what the next step I would suggest you, right? You purchase some hardware. Okay,
Okay.
like Big Album Black or Raspberry Pi.
Okay.
All right, then you download the tool chain.
Okay.
Okay, toolchain means like cross compiler basically,
Hmm.
and build the Linux kernel, build any bootloader. Okay,
Okay.
build any root file system like BusyBox could be a root file system. Bootloader, you can consider LKboot or U-boot as a bootloader. You can build the Linux kernel, like clone the Linux kernel for that, and use the configuration. So in Linux kernel there is two things. You have to first set the config file.
Okay.
Basically for Big Album Black, the config file is different, like which IP you want to enable, which IP you want to disable, which driver you want to enable.
Okay.
But for Raspberry Pi, there's a different, config file.
Yeah.
So set the respective config file for the board, and then try to build the Linux kernel. And there will be two way of building the driver. One is inbuilt module build, means it will integrate with the actual Linux kernel,
Hmm.
and another one is the out of tree build or the dynamically loadable build. Try to understand how the different things
Okay.
happen.
Okay.
And when you're writing a module and integrating in the Linux kernel, right, you have to come across with the kconfig file, because when you do the menu config, okay, so just write down the point of menu config is there.
Okay.
So your driver will appear in the menu config if you add it in the kconfig file. So
Okay.
how to add your driver in the kconfig file so that it can reflect in the menu config file, and how doesn't matter if you are not able to reflect in the menu config file.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
if you don't reflect in the menu config file, right, you cannot select your driver, so your driver will not get built while building the other Linux module or Linux driver.
Okay. Okay.
So, and like menu config is one of the important things, and you have to add
Hmm.
your module in the kconfig file so that menu config file can fetch your driver.
Okay. Okay.
And after the menu config file selects your driver, right, there's a k build system is there, basically Linux build system, right.
Hmm. Hmm.
There, like there it will take up your driver and it will compile and build it.
Okay.
And like more better understanding you will be having if you are doing the Linux kernel build from the scratch, like in the sense from your hands on.
Okay.
But there are some sort of shortcut, not shortcut, I would say there's good projects are there. Yocto project is there,
Yeah.
which most of the industries actually use.
Okay.
Samsung, Qualcomm, all these things. So Yocto project is used to download all the toolchain and build your Linux kernel,
Okay.
provide the all the config file, menu config and all the stuff. So you can learn the Linux Yocto project, but it's a secondary thing. Yocto project. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
It's a secondary thing, but if you know it, it will be good. But
Good
I would
suggestion.
suggest you to
Okay.
do the hands-on with the actual Linux, build things. It
Okay.
will like try to understand from the scratch,
Huh.
add your module, because Yocto is a like framework, so you may not understand everything from end to end.
Yeah.
Um, then like try to understand like timing subsystem in the Linux kernel,
Okay.
and then interrupt subsystem of the Linux kernel,
Hmm.
uh,
Okay.
and timer interrupt subsystem, memory management, like memory subsystem or memory management subsystem in
Okay.
the Linux kernel. Because when you're studying the architecture, right,
Yeah.
you will be understanding the theoretical part, but when you see in the actual Linux kernel, right,
Mm-hmm.
you will understand the actual implementation of it.
Okay.
And then try to understand the Linux kernel debugging method,
Okay.
like if trace is there, function test is there,
Okay.
then and I think s trace is the system called trace is there, and other d message buffer is there. So it's like how these things, like how can you implement some ram dump means when your system you added some driver, okay, and you try to boot the system. When after booting the system, if it is crashing, right, you can see the error logs, and you can see that okay, this is the reason it is crashing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the normal technique. But what if you integrate your driver and while booting your system is crashing
Okay.
during the booting up process, right? How can you debug this situation?
Okay.
Because your system is not booted
Done.
up yet, right?
Okay.
How can you get the logs?
Got it.
You without logs you cannot debug.
Yeah.
But if the system is not booted up, how can you get the log?
Okay.
So it's a red log, right? So there is a concept of ram dump. Basically, when you are booting up the system, right, and you keep on receiving the logs,
Okay.
but as soon as you get a crash, right, you get the crash log, and then your system is like shutting down on stuck or
Mm-hmm.
whatever things. So you have to take that log in the message buffer or any buffer to your local storage
Yeah.
basically, and then you can analyze it. So
Got
there
it.
could be multiple mechanism, like there's a protocol, fast boot protocol or fast boot mode is there.
Mm-hmm.
From there you can fetch the log, like when the system is crashed, right? So from there system might enter into the fast boot mode, and from the fast boot mode you can fetch the logs from the actual DDR memory to your local storage, and you can further analyze it.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be a technique or RAM dump or any other dumping technique which will be help to do the debugging of the system when the system is crashing.
Okay.
Now all these things you can learn, and then you can showcase your talent. Now how can you convince the interviewer or the manager basically,
Yeah.
like you are capable of taking up your team task, whatever they will be doing. If you can get an access to the somehow try to talk with your manager, try to get access to the modern code base,
Modern
not the
purpose.
inter one, minimum code base, okay, and talk with some senior, try to understand whatever you are learning, right, whatever you have learned from this journey, right, you just try to map how they have implemented in the how to say in the modem.
And then modern code.
Okay,
Yeah.
now to the new next interviewer, right, you showcase that you understand the concept end to end, okay.
Hmm.
You did not develop any production level driver code, but you know the driver code, you just modify the driver code when you are finding the bugs. Now
Hmm.
what is your job responsibility? Developing an applications which will be using the driver to enhance or enable the functionality and achieve the goal of the driver.
Yeah.
So you are writing a driver, for what? So that an application can you make use of the driver to use the hardware. The application won't be using the directly hardware resources, it will be using calling the driver.
Hmm.
Driver will be using the hardware resources, right?
Yeah.
So if you, without application there is no use of the driver, right?
Yeah.
So you are writing application means you are doing great things, you have to convince it things.
Okay.
And you are writing application, for that you need to understand the driver APIs, driver functionality, the modem driver functionality, how the things are working, which
Yeah.
model is interacting with other model, which hardware is interacting with other hardware.
Hmm.
You just explaining everything.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then
Okay.
they will definitely get convinced, and they will open up the opportunity for you.
Got it. Got it.
Now you are just simply saying that I'm just working in the modem testing team, and then just you're saying that ask me any DSA question or embedded question, I can answer that.
Huh.
Don't just jump into that. Don't say you are from modem testing team. You say that modem application development team, where I develop the applications to analyze the driver functionality,
Okay.
so that whenever the we the driver goes into the production,
Yeah.
it can works fine. Because driver level testing is different,
Okay.
but when you are you know developing an application and using the driver, right? There's lots of regression test, aging test, and lots of things are happening.
Okay.
Then we get to know lots of bugs. Okay, after 1,000 iteration,
Mm.
this is the malfunctioning things are happening, and we
Mm-hmm.
have to fix this bug, right? That could be a synchronization issue. There could be some other temperature issue, whatever
Yeah.
issue it would be, right?
Yeah.
So just represent your work not a test as a tester. Represent your work as a application developer of the modem, modem SoC.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's SoC or what you call modem only, right? Modem
Yeah.
IP.
Modem only. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you were working for the, like, you were working as an application
Application
developers
developer
for the modem
for
IP,
modem
and
IP.
you're
Yeah.
developing the application which interacting with the modem driver to,
Okay.
and this how you have to
Okay.
frame
Got it.
your
Got it.
resume. Don't write the testing part and all.
Okay.
Like the moment you will start saying, right, it will create an impression. Oh,
Yeah.
this guy's a tester. How will know the driver and all? Why should I hire him? Let 5 to 3 best question. They will ask you architecture question. Okay, how the BL3 and BL1 works. Explain me. You said,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me these things. Actually, I don't know. Okay, do you know this thing? What is this? No, actually, I never worked on it. Okay, okay, fine, fine. So then they create a perception, and this just going out.
Yeah.
Don't let them go out of the interview. Hold them. Tell them what you can do.
Hmm. Got
Okay,
it.
tell them
Got it.
what you can do. Wait. What I can do, I will show with
Yeah.
my words, with my understanding.
Got it. Got it.
Because they knows, right? You are college freshers, college graduated, they directly hire you. They
Mm-hmm.
did not give an option to choose which team you want to join,
Yeah.
which IP you want to
Exactly.
work on, right?
Different. Yeah.
There is like they also know it. When I also know it, if I am the interviewer, right? I also know straight from the college. They simply, it was a generic interview, and they simply put me in the CPU team.
Yes. Yes.
Did
Exactly.
ask me like what I will doing and all, right? I'm
Exactly.
from
Yeah.
the CS background. I didn't know much thing about the embedded system and all, right?
Okay.
Did they were ask me like what will be your area of interest and
Mm-hmm.
what you want to work on,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the stuff. They at least they could have asked me, right? Nothing was asked. They directly put in. My friends who like joined Qualcomm with me, like he was in modern team that time. There was some Qualcomm was facing some business crisis in the modem because Apple was coming up with some modem and
Yeah.
Qualcomm
Yeah.
was one of
Yeah.
the vendor. So there were lots of layoff happening in the modem team. He got laid off.
Okay. Okay.
Now he did not do anything mistake from his side. He just gave the generic interview just like me. He got into the modem team. I just got into the CPU team. As the modem performance was not up to the mark, they just reduced the
Mm-hmm.
headcount and they fired him as
Yeah.
randomly. There was no nothing performance
Yeah.
based,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
So there's nothing fair, like if the interviewer judging you just basis of the thing that you are working as a modem tester,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a fair. You have to prove it that whatever way you're judging, you're wrong. You may not get selected in the interview, but this will build a confidence. You may get rejected in the interview, I'm telling you,
Mm-hmm.
but it will build a confidence how to talk with the interviewer.
Yeah.
Think it is not the interviewer's company.
Got it.
Okay,
Got it.
everyone, it's a public company. It has the IPO, it is in the stock market listed, it's a public company, right?
Yeah.
You have to showcase what you can do. Interviewer did not born with the knowledge, he gained the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You are also gaining the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, don't let them take your work very lightly.
Likely. Yeah.
Convince them that whatever you're doing great. For you, Qualcomm is also earning profit. It's
Mm.
not a free free way free work you're doing,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
And when he joined the Bluetooth, right, maybe in the Qualcomm or maybe some previous organizations,
Mm-hmm.
he was also the freshers.
Yeah.
He did not have the expertise in that IP
Exactly.
while joining, right?
Yeah.
You should ask. If they ask you don't know this thing and don't know this thing, so you have to also mention that everyone who will be joining in some IP or other, right? Qualcomm or any previous team, right? Previous company, right? One day he was the fresher.
Yeah.
One day they started from the zero.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I know many things, but at least I'm not starting at the zeroth level.
Mm-hmm.
So like I have gained this expertise. I have worked on this Qualcomm SoC. For
Yeah.
me, Qualcomm has gained this success in the modem production, so modem product, right? So it's not like that I cannot do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
So this is how you can frame your. So basically, what I will suggest you, reframe your resume, whatever resume you have, right?
Yeah. So,
Try to restructure it.
can I share you my resume? Like, I think.
Yeah, yes, sure, sure. If you have G Drive link, share me in the chat.
Okay, sure. I don't have G Drive link actually. So,
Okay, I'm typing
how?
my mail ID. You can
Yeah, I'll send
share
it.
me in the mail.
Yeah. Where is the chat option? Like, I got it. Yeah. So yeah, you can type your mail ID in the chat. I'll send you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I copied. 1 minute, I'll share it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I shared with you just now. You receive it.
Okay.
And one more thing I wanted to ask, like,
What?
can you tell me like
Uh,
resources from where I can learn like this ARM
mm-hmm.
architecture
Yeah,
or
yeah.
let's say
Yeah,
Linux?
yeah, yeah. I will tell you. I could not able to see. Guys,
Yeah, I think it's
just one. Let me just see your resume once.
yeah.
Uh,
You received it, right?
yeah, yeah, yes.
Okay, okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh, First thing first.
Yeah,
The thing is, in case of TCS, TCS experience, right? Whatever you have written, right?
yeah.
TCS experience. So
Experience.
the
Yeah.
thing is you just mentioned very little about it, right?
Okay.
And you worked there for almost 1 year, 3 4 months.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't make it a very. It's like you are keeping it as an internship. Don't make it as an internship. It is an experience for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So it's in 1.5 year, like around 1.5 years,
One and
not
a half years. Yeah.
exactly 1.5 years. So July, August, September, October, so 1 year, four
1 year,
months,
three
three, four
months. Yeah,
months, right?
exactly. Yes.
So it's more than 1 years, and don't make it very short so that it
Okay,
seems like an
okay,
internship.
okay. Great.
Okay. And the second thing in internship in Qualcomm, right?
Hmm.
If you haven't done any significant things and all, right? As I
Yeah.
see, it's just one line. Like you can keep it, but if you haven't done it, right, it won't create much
Okay, I can reduce it
impact,
also. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now the thing is, the biggest mistake you're doing, modem system test engineer. Don't even write this modem
Don't
system
write that.
test engineer.
Okay.
Write embedded engineer, embedded software
Okay.
engineer.
Like
That's it.
actually for internal, actually they can check now. So that's why I was thinking. So
No, 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 no. Internal they can check in the sense in your I mean, nowhere it will be mentioned like you are a software engineer, hardware engineer. In Qualcomm, it's only engineer
engineer.
designation. Do
Yeah.
you know these
Exactly.
things,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I know.
It's,
Yeah.
so more than that, there is no what to say. More than that, there is no way of defining you as a person.
Okay.
Now, the way they can define you as a person, you are an engineer or senior engineer, or lead engineer. That's it.
Yeah.
Not even hardware and software. How can you defining yourself as a test engineer?
Okay. Okay.
Did you get my point, right?
Got it. Got it. Yeah. I got
So
it.
no one can even claim that you are telling wrong. If you are telling embedded software engineer, right,
Mm-hmm.
you're not telling lie.
Okay.
Testing is a part of software engineering. It's not a part of hardware engineering.
Okay.
As simple as that.
Got it.
Okay, so it's like how you're describing yourself, how you're portraying yourself does matter a lot.
Okay.
Got my point,
Yeah,
right?
I got it. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is one thing. And so accordingly, as you have written the modern system test engineer, right,
Mm-hmm.
so develop python based automation script and all, right, you have to like modify your work in a different way, develop an applications which
Okay.
was interacting with the modern product xyz, and which actually enhance these features
Yeah.
by using something, and
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't bugs which causing lots of millions of packet losses, and come up with the solutions proposed to the you know
Okay.
you know different driver team, and they fix the bug. So
Mm.
you have to like describe yourself. It's not like I write a automation script and I have got a logs,
Mm.
share with the other teams,
Yeah.
or there's some bugs, I just ping the developer teams that
Yeah.
fix the bugs. You should not do like that.
Okay. Okay.
It's like you are you know undervaluing your product by
Mm.
yourself. If the 100 price is there, you're just making it 90 or 80 rupees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't make it 180 or 90 rupees.
Got
You
it.
are
Got it.
also, as an engineer, whatever you are doing, Qualcomm is paying you.
Mm.
Another who is like embedded software engineer, whatever developer you are thinking, right, they're also paying the same, right?
Yeah.
Without you, the Qualcomm may not generate the profit in the modern product. Without him also, they will not generate the
Yeah.
profit in the modern product. So you are not doing some inferior things,
Hmm.
you're also doing up to the mark thing.
Yes. Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is one thing. The second thing, you are asking me some of the courses, right? So
Yeah.
what I this is my suggestion, right? It worked for me,
Hmm.
so I'm just suggesting from that side. In Udemy, right,
You tell me.
there are two courses, Bigalmon Black from Fastbeat Academy, I guess, like Bigalmon Black and Bigalmon Black Linux device driver. These
Okay.
are the two courses. Actually, it helped me a lot.
These are courses for what? Like I didn't get like
Udemy.
Udemy and like which topic? Like ARM based pros you're saying like ARM based
Yeah,
processor.
so Beaglebone Black is a board, so which is having some SoC, which is an ARM based SoC.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, let me then share you the link. I think it will
Yeah,
be
yeah,
better
that
for
will be
you.
great.
Oh shit, I need to do. I'm just pasting in the chat
Oh,
section. Okay.
okay.
So like these are the two courses which I highly recommend anyone because it helped me a lot.
Okay.
Okay, this is one thing. Now there are lots of other courses, right? Which like may be helpful for someone, may not be helpful
Yeah,
for someone else.
yeah.
Okay, so like I cannot say like you should follow this, but again, if you can follow it, like it will be well and good.
Okay, okay.
Like if you don't have anything to follow, I think it will be very like useful material for you.
Okay, okay.
And like Linux kernel, like that's device I was saying, right? One of the courses has covered that.
Okay, Linux kernel.
And it's like, if you want to understand the ARM architecture, right,
Mm-hmm.
this might help you, but I cannot guarantee because it's a Korean teacher, and like
Okay,
he knows like he is having 20 years of experience in the ARM based CPU, but his teaching style is not that great, but he is very knowledgeable person.
okay, okay.
So that's the thing. And like like I was telling you, debugging or like system calls, right? These courses you can follow, but again it depends on you. If you have any other, if you found some any other material, you can like take up
Okay,
this material. But this is I just suggesting you. You may take it, may not take it, but the first two courses, right? That's like you will not regret.
okay.
Other courses, it depends on how you like this concept of
Embedded
this domain,
Linux
right?
and Linux device driver. These are
Yeah,
mandatory.
that you will never regret it. Rest of the things is depends on how you are connecting with yourself with that teacher or the educator.
Yeah,
Those are knowledgeable, there is no doubt it, but how you're
got
connecting the things,
got it,
like
got
the first two, the person who taught, right, the course are more engaging, I would say.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah,
got
that's
it.
all from my side.
Okay, thanks a lot, Pranav. Like it helped me. Like I at least got an overview of like what I should do because I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea like how to approach right now. So it really helped me. I'll
Mm-hmm.
I'll start enrolling in the first two courses as you said. So at
Yeah,
least
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that
Just,
I'll start
and
with
if you
that
have
only.
a board, if you have a board, it's well and good. If you don't have a board, still you just gone through the courses, you'll
Yeah,
understand. If you realize like these courses is really enhancing your knowledge, then you
enhancing
can
it.
purchase the board, or else you can think of other
it
approach of learning.
yeah,
Don't
definitely.
first directly purchase the board. First, gone through the
Yeah,
courses once
I'll go through
in the
the
middle of the
course
course.
first. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's the thing.
okay.
And so one small request from my side,
Yeah,
like
sure.
after the call, like you will get a mail like regarding the feedback.
Yeah.
So please feel free
Yeah,
to
sure,
share your
sure.
honest
I'll
feedback.
give a feedback.
It's
Yeah.
helped me a lot to like understand my pros and cons, and so that I can
Yeah.
improve myself as a
Yeah,
better
sure.
person.
I'll definitely add your feedback. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks
Thanks a
Sam,
lot.
all the very best.
Yeah.
I wish
Thank
you all
you.
the very best, and
Yeah.
I hope like in next couple of months you will, fill the gap whatever you have, and you will to convert your dream whatever you're thinking, what
Yeah,
the
yeah,
domain you are trying to jump. And I am sure that if you are focused, you definitely
yeah,
end up where you want to reach. There will be
yeah,
no one can stop you
yeah,
except
exactly.
you.
Yeah, thanks, thank
Except
you.
you, no one can stop you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bruno.
So
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
very
I will try
best,
my best.
and
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
thanks man for joining in.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye bye.
Okay, yeah,
Have a
bye.
great
Good
time.
night. Yeah.